Welcome in, welcome in. This is AutoCAD, mate. This is AutoCAD, yeah. Going to be looking at a bit of AutoCAD. Doing some stuff in 3D, that sort of thing. How are we all tonight? It's not Inventor, mate, no, just AutoCAD. That was done in AutoCAD, that you see there. Oh, you used PLCs a long time ago. What sort of PLCs did you use, Gamma? Welcome in, everyone. Do 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 do. Siemens brand. Oh, okay. So would that be like the S200s and 300s? I think they were the older ones, weren't they? You see the CAD stuff. Never seen those switches loaded into CAD. Yeah, I can show you all that stuff, mate. Yeah, no problem. Use PLC for your hobby. Siemens Logo 7. I love logos. Logos are great. Brilliant little controllers. Very cheap as well. They do a good job. They're not quite at the level of a PLC, but they're pretty good. Yeah, S7200s. Ah, okay. Welcome in, everyone. Yeah, we're going to be looking at a bit of AutoCAD tonight. And just chatting, really. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How long was my schooling? 5 years, mate. Yeah, I did a 5-year apprenticeship. Welcome in, everyone. We've only just started a few minutes ago. 4 minutes ago. KHDR, hello. How are you tonight? Does anyone do any work with AutoCAD? The basic topic is design, AutoCAD, that sort of thing. That's what we're going to be looking at tonight. Lewis, thank you for the follow, mate. Really appreciate that. Didn't pop up, though. Why did it not pop up? Let me have a look at that while we're waiting. United Kingdom. England is where I am. I'm not sure why the follows don't show up there. Should have done. Should have got a little ping through. I took the old sound off. Ah, I know why. It's not coming through my. It's not coming through my monitor. The sound. It maybe did ping through. Tilda, I think. Thank you for the follow. It is CAD, mate. Yes, AutoCAD. We're going to be looking at a bit of 3D tonight. What PLC is that? That is a Mitsubishi FX5 PLC. I won't tell you the city, mate, or where I'm from, because it's not. Well, it's not a city, but I'm from North Yorkshire. I just started an engineering degree. Horribly struggling with Fusion 360. Yeah, I've used a little bit of Fusion 360. Not so much. At one point, I did want to get a 3D printer, so I started looking into it for that. This is just AutoCAD, this software. Use AutoCAD 2D a lot for controls and closures. Haven't messed with a 3D modelling yet. Yeah, I used to use 2D. Excuse me. I used to use 2D for the layouts and the GAs and that sort of thing. But we've shifted into 3D now, and it just makes life so much easier. You're always spotting what would have been mistakes before, stuff that just didn't fit together. You're able to see that before you actually come to manufacture. FX Mitsubishi, that's what, yeah, that's right, that's what that is. It's a FX5 Mitsubishi PLC. My university has us use Fusion 360 for our design module. Ah, okay. I've not heard of many people using Fusion 360 for like anything other than 3D modeling, or maybe, you know, does it do CNC machining? Maybe, I'm not sure. Like I say, I've dabbled with it. I made a few brackets and stuff in it. It had a pretty good sheet metal add-on to it, which I quite liked. But as in terms of design, I wouldn't have thought you'd use that. I would have thought you'd use Inventor, if anything. Hi bro, have you tried 123 Design? I haven't, mate. No, I've not even heard of it. What is that? Is that an electrical software? BBB44, thank you for the follow. Really appreciate it. I'm doing a degree in biomedical engineering. We use SolidWorks. Yeah, SolidWorks is probably the biggest in industry for 3D modeling. All the suppliers and stuff that we use for like getting bespoke metalwork, they all use SolidWorks. It does look pretty good, to be fair. First live, thank you, Christopher, I think. Welcome, mate, welcome. You're an electrical mechanic technician and want to get into the PLC game. I've got tons of videos of how to start, mate. Tons of them. Yeah, it's 3D modeling. I'm not sure why we're using it. Yeah, I don't know. As far as I'm aware, Fusion's for like small scale stuff, like manufacturing little parts and that sort of thing. It could be used for bigger stuff. I'm honestly not sure. Do I ever use TIA Portal? I do, not at work. So we don't really use Siemens at work. I do have a Siemens PLC, and I've just started to get back into them, really. I haven't used them for like over 10 years. We can maybe have a look at that a bit later on, but I've got it all on a VM, so I'd have to boot up the VM first. Thank you, Katie. I'll pin that. Have I used GX Developer? I have. I hate GX Developer, though. It's so bad. I don't know about the version. I've used whatever the latest is at the moment. We used it for a good while, but GXWorks 2 and GXWorks 3 are my favourite. It is from AutoCAD, simple 3D design. You're right, it is. Let's have a look. I think we've got a few people in here now. I need to... My camera's in the way, so I can't really see. Let's go into layout mode, or model mode, that's whatever it's called. So this is, if any of you watch my videos, you'll have seen this test rig a million times. I've always got it in there. Work on a lot of Scottish water sites. All PLCs and the MCCs are Siemens. Yeah, Siemens is the biggest, mate, by far. Siemens is the top dog over in Europe and in the UK as well. You ever thought of make yourself a homemade ride? If you know, yourself a homemade ride? I've never thought about that, mate. No. What sort of ride are you thinking? What language do most PLC guys use in Europe? Structured text, ladder. It's always ladder. Ladder's definitely the most popular, but structured text is getting up there now. A lot of new guys are using structured text. Do you use ladder technique in the PLC? I personally do. I use a mix of ladder, function block, and structured text. Just kind of depends what I'm doing. Yeah, I use them all. Because like maths, like doing calculations and stuff is no good in ladder. It's rubbish. Yeah, ladder's good. I like ladder. I use ladder mostly, and then I use function blocks for like, if I'm doing some sort of process or something. It's pretty good for that. And I use structured text for when I'm doing calculations and stuff. Mitsubishi's pretty good because even if you pick ladder as your language, you can insert structured text blocks, which basically means you can run a little script within your ladder logic. It's really good. In Algeria, you'll only see Siemens. Yeah, in the UK, it's mostly Siemens. There is others, like Rockwell, Allen Bradley stuff. There's that still. Mitsubishi used to be a lot more popular than it is now, but it's still good. I found structured text easier for writing, but ladder is easier for text to understand. Yeah, that's it, mate. That's why ladder probably won't go away for a long time, because electrical engineers, electrical technicians, we all know relay logic, we all know how contacts work and that sort of thing, and it just translates well into ladder logic. What do you work with? I work in power generation, mate. So I design control panels and LV switchgear, mostly for generators, main supplies. We've started to get into hybrid stuff now, so battery energy storage systems, solar, hydro, wind turbines, that sort of thing. and basically managing that power system where all the sources of supply share, really. Real heroes use relay logic. Yeah, I mean, it's a weird one, really, because I prefer to use a PLC over relay logic, but I know a lot of our customers, or not a lot, but a few have asked us specifically not to use a PLC because their guys just aren't trained on them. You know, you need to have a certain amount of on-site experience with it to be able to support it or maintain it. So a lot of, like, some customers ask, just use relay logic, use timers and that sort of thing. What company do you work for? I'm not going to say what company, mate. Yeah, I won't say. I've missed a good few follows there. Let me go up and just go through them. Dex, thank you for the follow. To Lou, I think. Thank you for the follow. Dan Marin, thank you. Zach, Ivan, Jay, I really appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Okay, thank you for the 10 coins. Really appreciate that. So yeah, this while we were talking, I was just scrolling about. Yeah, so what we've got on this, basically, this is my little PLC test rig. You'll see in all my videos. I've got a Mitsubishi FX5U PLC on it. I've got a Wago, Vago, however you want to say it, power supply. I think it's one of their Eco range or something. There's a little Omron relay. I actually have, I think I've taken the power supply off. You won't see that in the most recent videos because I just use my bench power supply, so I don't need a power supply on it anymore. And I put a Weidmuller unmanaged switch on it. We've got a selector switch, and on mine I think it's a 2-position. And then we've got some push buttons, and they're actually illuminated push buttons. It's not really easy to show that on the 3D model, but yeah. So they basically act as inputs and outputs, because they're an input because they're a push button, and they're an output because they've got a lamp in it. So I just drive the lamp with the outputs of the PLC. Does this do simulation with logic or just physical? Nah, it doesn't do no simulation. AutoCAD's just for design, really. What do you think about ePlan? I've never used ePlan, but I see a lot of people move into it. Obviously, it's like for controls. Excuse me. For people who design control panels and stuff, it seems to be tailored for that sort of thing. And speaking with some of the guys at work, if we were to ever change, we probably would look to go to ePlan. This is AutoCAD. What version it is? I think it's 2024. I haven't bothered moving up to 2026. I find every year there's no real difference, and it's quite it's a bit of a pain to change over. You lose all your settings unless you import them all again. It's just a hassle. So unless there's some significant changes between, the current version I'm on and the newest version, I don't bother upgrading. Are you telling me Wago makes things other than wire connectors? They do, mate. Yes, they make power supplies. They make PLCs. What else do they do? I think they might even do some relays and stuff. They do tools. I've got a couple of Wago, Vago, whatever you want to call them. I call them Wago. You call them what you like. I know the name is Vago. They're German. Yeah, I've got some wire strippers, some screwdrivers and stuff like that. I won like a competition on LinkedIn, and they gave me like this starter kit with like a power supply in, some tools, a few relays. I think they do some signal conditioners as well and stuff like that. Do you use Blue Beam? No, I don't, mate. I'm not sure what that is. What does ePlan do? ePlan's a design software, just like AutoCAD, but it's specifically tailored, I believe, for control panels and that sort of thing. So while AutoCAD is used for pipe work, architectural drawings, AutoCAD can do all sorts, to a reasonable standard. Apparently ePlan's tailored to do control panels to a very high standard, as far as I'm aware. I'm a fire alarm tech and only just use their wire connectors instead of wire nuts. Oh, mate. I guess you're from the US, maybe? Wire nuts, I don't think they're banned over here. I don't even think you're allowed to use wire nuts. But yeah, we use the Wago connectors all the time. I love them for when I'm testing control panels. I don't know if anyone's seen it. I posted a video a couple of hours ago of basically a panel on test. When I'm testing panels like that, I just stick a load of, you know, Wago connectors in to pick up negatives and pick up, you know, 24 volts wherever I need to just start doing whatever tests I'm doing. Temporarily, not permanently, but yeah, they're brilliant. Donis, thank you for follow. Really appreciate that, mate. So anyway, let's look at this then. So yeah, the way I built this is, you can probably see this thing is see-through. It's on a bit of plastic sheet, a bit of plastic. I think it's, the actual brand is Lexan. It's I think Americans call it plexiglass. I think it's just plastic sheet. And what I did was I basically put a hot air gun on each bend and just bent it with a hot air gun on the corner of the table. I've drilled a load of holes in it just for the wires. You'll see I don't really care about wire management on my test rigs whatsoever. So all the wires are just hanging out in the back. I've got a couple of bits of DIN rail. I've got 2 bits of DIN rail back to back. And on the back I used to have couple of distribution blocks. Now I don't think I've got anything on it. You know, you build these things with an idea in mind, and then as you use them, you kind of feel like, you know, well, this isn't necessary anymore, or this doesn't work as well as I hoped. So you just change it up. Software, this is AutoCAD, mate. AutoCAD. If I type it in, I can get Katie to pin it whenever anyone asks. We would call that Unistrut. Oh, okay. Well, in fact, I might be able to... Hopefully, yeah. I might be able to show you what we would call Unistrut. If I can import it. Bring that over here. Go to where I keep all my library of parts. Adrian, thank you for the follow. Really appreciate that, mate. How are we all doing tonight? So let me find this then. Unistrut. Where have I saved it? I need to be looking for step files. Okay, so in a second I should have a little bubble pop up, which I have. So we would call this stuff Unistrut. I don't know if you've seen that. Yeah. 3D would say. Turn that 180. So this stuff here, it's quite long. I should chop it down, but that's what we would call Unistrut. And we would call this DIN rail, this stuff that all components sit on. I'm an engineer. I'm not an architect. Yeah. I'm an electrical engineer. My job title is a design engineer. Ryan, thank you for the follow. James, thank you for the follow. Really appreciate that. E-Plan. No, this is AutoCAD, mate. I watch your videos, mate. Keep up the work. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Nominoms, I guess your name is. Yeah, thank you. And that's probably about it for that. I have got another design which... let me just hide that. Let's see if I can find it, though. I can never remember where I save stuff. I've just got a new computer, and I'm kind of all over the place with the file management at the minute. Everything's a little bit different. So, in here, I think. In here. So I've also got this design. I haven't built this yet. I will at some point build this. If you've watched any of my videos, you will have seen I've got a HMI, and it kind of just sits there leant up against the wall, which is no good. So I do want to do the same sort of thing. It's possible that the HMI will be too heavy for the plastic sheet that I use, especially with a massive cutout in it. But I'm going to try it. I think I'll just put it together and see what it's like. You good with motor controls? I'm okay. Yeah, I'm not too bad. I've done. I'd say probably my last 5 live streams were on motor controls. What's the name of the program? It's called AutoCAD, mate. Instantly following this. Appreciate that, TJ. Thank you, mate. Really, really appreciate that. What program? I think I said that. It's AutoCAD, buddy. Do you do 3D models of the internals of a panel before it's built? We do. Yes, I 3D model an entire panel. Let's get the likes to 20k. Yeah, you tell them, Katie. Thank you. Yeah, please. I appreciate any likes and all that stuff. Thank you, guys. Yeah, so when I design a control panel, I do model the internals as well. And then that way, I don't know, let me go back to my other one. I can put it back into sheet. And then once you've like done the design, I think you guys can see that. You then need to put it in a paper sheet format so you can print it out. Now obviously this one was just for me at home. Excuse me. So I didn't go too hard with it. It was kind of kept it basic. And the different views and stuff, I've not really labelled any of the views or anything. Normally I would. I'd go a lot harder than I did. But when you design a control panel, you're able to like... I wonder if I can show it. I wonder if... what's the easiest way of showing it? You can like section the drawings. So I could take like the door off by doing a section. Let's see if... You see how it's like... Well, you can't really tell. It's a bad example because... yeah, there's not much to this. But you can like slice off the door and then the view will look inside the panel. So you can, you know, the guys on the shop floor can lay out the panel how you've designed it. Do I do BIM? No, I don't, mate. BIM, I've come across it because we sometimes get asked for our 3D model of the panel so that our customer can put it in their BIM. It's only really, we only really get asked for that on jobs that go down into London and stuff. In the city, it seems to be quite a big thing. But no one else really asked for it, so yeah. And I don't do it personally. Where did you learn I can't speak. Where did you learn CAD CAM modelling? So I don't do any CAM. So CAM is, I believe, to do with like machining and that sort of thing. I don't do any of that, but I do obviously CAD. And I just learned that on the job at work. As part of my apprenticeship, I went in the office for a little while. They showed me the ropes. I took it from there, kept practicing, got used to it, tried out new things, yeah. I don't usually do my panel layouts in 3D, but I'll try in the next one. I have one coming up. Yeah, I mean, if you've got like a good grasp of how to use the 3D and, you know, what planes you should be working in and that sort of thing, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to. Yeah, in the beginning, it's definitely a lot slower. So you can knock out a 2D GA, you know, in an hour or two, maybe even less. It might take you 3 or 4 to do your first 10 in 3D, but over time you get quicker and quicker and quicker. You end up having this like library of previous panels to take inspiration off of and to copy stuff off of, really. What file format do you import the files? Step file, yeah, .stp or .step. I think AutoCAD can do all sorts. It can do like IGS and stuff like that, but I tend to stick to step files. You do end up though, the downside to using step files is your AutoCAD file ends up humongous on a big control panel, as in like, you know, 200 megabytes or something like that. Is it megabytes? Maybe it's even gigabytes. I don't know. I know it's big anyway. Megabytes don't sound a lot, but yeah, it is pretty big. Anyway, Snarky Man, welcome in, mate. I didn't say that. Professor Butler, welcome in as well. You're a self-taught 3D modeler as well. I use for HVAC graphics and in my videos. Yeah, I've only really done one. No, mate, that's a lie. I've probably done 2 or 3 videos where I've used AutoCAD. I don't know. It's a bit of a niche thing. There's not a great deal of interest I've found in the AutoCAD side, so I don't really talk about it too much or make videos on it. Not well, at least in my experience, none of my videos have done very well when I've done AutoCAD stuff. Most manufacturers have those formats. Yeah. Yeah, so like that Mitsubishi PLC, I've got it off the Mitsubishi website. that power supply. You know, I haven't modelled these up myself. I modelled the plastic, you know, the plastic sheet that I've ended up bending and drilling. That's modelled by me, but the rest of the stuff I'm just pulling in. Might need to tweak the colours and stuff, because sometimes step files come in weird colours. Yeah, and then I've just, you know, plopped them on where I need them to go. You love SketchUp? I've never used SketchUp, I don't think. Maybe years ago. Did it used to be owned by Google, I think? It used to be called Google SketchUp. I seem to remember using it briefly at college or something. Inventor has electrical design, right? Maybe I can do them there. I don't know, to be fair, mate. I don't have Inventor. We don't use Inventor at work. I wish we did, because it looks like it's a lot better. Like, AutoCAD does 3D okay. It's okay. It's nothing great. Whereas Inventor and stuff, which are made for 3D, I believe they're pretty good, you know. Yeah, Google used to own it. Yeah. That's what I thought. I probably haven't used it since then, and when I did use it, it wasn't really to any, you know, I didn't go in, put it through anger or anything like that. I agree. I use Inventor. I'll look into it. Yeah. If I had the choice, I'd probably choose Inventor. I mean, if I really had the choice, I'd probably choose SolidWorks, because a lot of our suppliers use that, and it looks brilliant. Is it too late to learn PLC as a 28-year-old mechanical engineer? Not at all innocent. No, I don't think so. No. You've got plenty of, you know, you've got, it's going to depress you to hear it, but you've got like another 50 years at work, mate. Maybe 40. You've got a long time left at work, so it's never too late. I would say if you were in your last like 5 or 10 years of your career, yeah, maybe don't bother. You're not going to get much benefit out of it, but you've got a long career ahead of you, mate. Definitely, you definitely can. MMS, thank you for the follow. Really appreciate that. I don't think I've missed any others. FAJ392, thank you for the follow. Thank you to everyone who's liking. Really appreciate it, guys. Okay, so yeah, they're just 2 little test rigs I've put together just for home, just for doing the videos and that sort of thing. I haven't actually built this one yet. This is sort of in the pipeline when I get a time. I don't have any time at the minute. I've not even made any proper videos for like 2 weeks. I like coming on to do the lives though, because it's only I stay on for a few hours. You know, they're doing pretty well. I'm quite happy. You know, 42 people in at the minute. That's, to me, that's quite a lot. I wasn't expecting that when I started doing the lives, so I'm quite happy. Too late for you. How old are you then, Snarky Man? And don't you work with PLCs? I thought you do. You work in sewage. Was that right? And like the water treatment works and stuff. So yeah, yeah. Time's the killer at the minute. So what shall I do? I'm sort of thinking, do we very, very quickly try and do a little small control panel or something? Trent Hospital. Ah, okay. Well, maybe it was the engineer that was into the sewage stuff. I do remember now. You did tell me he was doing BMS at hospitals. Yes, I do remember. Are you retiring next year? Was that right? I do vaguely remember, mate. You'll have to forgive me. I'd speak to a lot of different people, but yeah. I remember now, mate. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's try and do a quick panel, I think. Very quick little panel. New drawing. We won't go too crazy with it. But basically, I can show you the startings of it. And it's importing a ton of parts. So let's start off with a panel. What's the smallest Schneider panel I've got? Enclosures. Wall mount. 600 by 600 by 300. That doesn't sound too big. So this is a wall mount panel. You can see at the moment it is like it's called a wireframe. This is a 2D wireframe. So it's all just lines, but it is still 3D. And I can change the view of this to many different things. This is called conceptual. This is called hidden. So it's still 2D lines, but you can't see behind. So let me just show you the difference between 2D wireframe. So you can see these lines up behind, and you know. But if I do hidden, you can't see those lines anymore. Does that make sense? I mean, you can kind of tell. Look, it's a box made out of lines. So then we go to realistic. This has like shadows and stuff, I think. I don't really use realistic. It's a bit heavy. I mean, my new computer's a bit of a beast. Like it's a proper machine, so it can handle it no bother. But also, I haven't really got many parts in yet. Shaded, shaded looks probably the best, I think. And shaded with edges, which is this one. This is how I normally work. I work in shaded with edges. AutoCAD, yes, it is, mate. Yeah. Shaded with edges is how I tend to work a lot. And it has in brackets fast on the name, and that's because, I don't know, AutoCAD's like properly optimized this view so you can use it, and it's pretty quick. You get shades of grey, and this basically turns every component in the panel grey. Why you would want to do that, I'm not entirely sure, but it's there. Sketchy, again, another weird one. It's like almost as if you've like drawn it or something. Everything's a little bit, I don't know, it's rubbish. I don't know I don't know why you'd ever use this either. But then we have normal wireframe. Not fully sure of the difference between 2D wireframe and wireframe, but it's there. Then we get X-ray. X-ray is pretty good, so you can see inside of like enclosures and stuff like that. So they're the different views. I'll stick with shaded with edges. That's how I tend to work. What's the best way to get an object in real size into the program? Well, if you get the step file from the actual manufacturer, it should be 1:1 scale. It should be perfectly to size. If it isn't, you'll have to probably scale it yourself. Yeah. I've got plenty of time. I think I just got to talk work into it. That's it, mate. Yeah. Let them know. You know, unless you say something, no one's gonna put you through any training or do anything unless they know about it. So, what's the worst that can happen? They can only say no, can't they, mate? Just to sort of keep you up to date with what I'm thinking at the minute. At the moment, this view is called top, or at least, well, this one is. This is called top-down view. I don't like my panels being in top-down view like that, like on their back. You see, this is like, imagine this is sat on the floor and the door's facing the ceiling. It is a Schneider cabinet, sick crust. It is, mate. Yeah, I just wanted to put a little small wall mounter in. Adobs, thank you for the follow. Really appreciate that. Thoughts on E-Plan? I've not used it, buddy, but it looks good. And a lot of people seem to use it nowadays, so I would like to use it. I'll say that. What was I saying? Okay, yeah, the panel's laid on its back. The door's facing the ceiling. I don't like to work like that, so I will rotate that. I normally have buttons on my mouse for doing all this stuff. But because I've got a new computer and I've only just downloaded the software, that's better. None of my buttons are set up, so bear with me. Right, okay, so that's now how I want my panel. So I want it as if it's sat on its base on the floor and you can open the door. That's how I like to work. So then if I go into front view, it just zooms in on the front of the door. Also, I've got this grid on the back. Normally I wouldn't have that on, I would turn that off. Yeah. How do you size your panel trunking? Try and go as big as possible. Always try and, there's nothing worse than having like a 25 by 40 or 50 mil high trunking and you've got to get 100 wires for it. There is nothing worse, so try and always give plenty of room for your trunking. Yeah, I always try and use 100 deep trunking as well. E-Plan is perfect for schematics, but not good for layout drawing, unfortunately. Oh, is that right? Because it does 3D, doesn't it? Like I say, I've never used it, so I'm not sure, but I know a lot, I see on LinkedIn a lot of people using E-Plan. Yeah. I'm working on my Q Electrotech fork as we speak. What's one of them then, mate? I'm not sure what that is. Katie, I just seen you sent through a ghost or something. Thank you for that. Really appreciate it. Okay, so let's get this exploded. So it came in as a block. I need to explode it, and then it gives me the individual parts. you can use a command called isolate. So if you right click, isolate, hide objects, click on the door, I can then see inside. It's hidden the door. The door's still there, but it's just hidden. And what I tend to do when I start out is I'll group up the door and the handle so that when I hide the door, the handle goes with it. And there's also some other bits there. Ralph Salmon, thank you, mate. Really appreciate that. And you gifted as well last night. Thank you, buddy. I really appreciate that. So let me just group up the bits on the door quickly. There's some bits there. I think you guys can see this all right, can't you? Yeah, if I just center it a bit better. So I just put that together in a group. I can then bring my enclosure back, hide the door. There we go. And then what I'll do is I'll group the glam plate. So there's a glam plate in the bottom there. Group that with the rest of the panel, so that when I hide the panel, the glam plate goes with it. Just how I prefer to do it. Then I'm left with it, just the back chassis, the mounting plate. David Slade, good evening. Hope you're well, buddy. Thank you for coming back. This isn't Revit, mate. No, this is just AutoCAD. This is AutoCAD that I'm using. AutoCAD using the 3D aspect of it. Yeah, so that's basically how I bring in the panel. Also, I like to, so it's coming as like just a plain grey. I'll also tend to change that, but I should have done it beforehand. Let me just ungroup them again. I'm sorry. I normally do it first, and what I'll do is I'll show you, because it doesn't to me look like it's RAL 7035. I don't know about any other countries, but all our control panels, typically off-the-shelf ones, are RAL 7035. So AutoCAD has a color books, and under color books it has RAL Classic, and under there it has RAL 7035. Now you probably won't see much of a difference, but it does definitely look different compared to the glam plate. In fact, it's done that for everything. Probably shouldn't have done it for the handle. Like I say, I should have should have done it before I grouped everything up. Anyway, here's what it is. I need to group the door back up again. Right, hang on. It's because I'm explaining stuff. I'm not quite doing things in the right order. Let's get all my door stuff back together. Oh, yeah, I've got a bit of lag. There we go. Group that. Hide the door again. Oh no, in fact, bring everything back. Do apologise. This normally takes about 2 seconds. Right, there we go. So mounting plate, I'll make that a very light colour. Let me just go back to my properties. I can't see because my camera's in the way. There we go. And I normally make that white, but then just take down the luminance by 1. There we go. And just get rid of them properties. Any questions? Cool. How can we watch this recording later? I tend to put all these live streams, the full live stream, on YouTube maybe a day or 2 after I've done it. So if I get to it tomorrow, I'll put it on YouTube. If you click on my bio, I've sorted out a link tree today which shows all my social media. You'll find my YouTube on there, Instagram, Discord, and this TikTok. I'd appreciate anyone going and following all them other socials as well. Thank you. I don't do very well on Instagram. I don't know what it is. I put all the same videos on, but they just don't do the same as what they do on TikTok. Jay, thank you for following, mate. Really appreciate that. Oh, okay, you actually said that. Thank you. I'm sure you hear this often, but why not Fusion? Fusion, I have used Fusion, but never for panels or anything like that. I was under the impression Fusion's not great for bigger stuff. It's more for like manufacturing little parts and stuff like that. I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't use it enough. But AutoCAD is kind of the industry standard, as well as like ePlan. I think there are some others. Obviously SolidWorks. But yeah, AutoCAD's just what I use. Okay, so that's the enclosure done. Normally, like I say, that would take a minute max. Now, I have got a model of some trunking but it's quite heavy, as in, well, in fact, if I bring it in, I can explain what I mean when I say heavy. If you don't work with 3D modeling, you might not fully understand what that means, but let me find it. I think it's in there. Trunking. Some 60 by 80 trunking. It's probably a bit big for this panel, to be fair, but it's coming as a little, like a little tiny piece, but you can do a clever little trick called an array to make that much longer, or you could just explode it and extend it. But if I array this, I can then make it so it's one column, 3 rows, but in between the rows maybe 100. That looks good to me. But then I can make it 50 rows, so then it's quite a long bit of trunking, and it's all little individual blocks, but it acts as one because I arrayed it. You guys can see that okay. Let me take that down to 10. So what did I mean when I said, in fact, let me just hide that panel a sec. What do I mean when I said it's quite heavy? You see, in 3D modeling, the software has to know every curve, every hole, every, you know, there's so much data that it has to compute to show you what you're seeing there. And you can see it's quite detailed, that bit of trunking. So this is very, very similar to the trunking we use. It's, I think the term's like finger trunking or something. We just call it trunking. And if you've got a ton of this stuff, you know, there's not really any great benefit to showing trunking in any great detail. There just isn't. We're not going to put wires in. When we 3D model, we don't model the wires as well. So yeah, it's just way too detailed for what it needs to be. All that information that the AutoCAD has to compute to show you it, it's pointless. It's totally pointless. So what I end up doing is I just let me bring my panel back. Is I'll make a square. I'll give that square dimensions. So let's say that was 60 by 80. Let's make a 60 by 80 rectangle. I was calling it a square, it's a rectangle. And then what you can do, so I think you guys can see that, I can do something called press pull. You can also use extrude, but press pull will basically turn that square. You know, I'm almost pulling. I'm pulling something out of that rectangle. You know, I'm pulling clay out of it or something, and it turns it into a 3D object. So I tend to just use just a block, a rectangle block for my trunking, because it only really has to know where that corner is, where that corner is, where that corner is, where that corner is, and the bottom 4 corners for it to be able to show me that geometry. You know, so it's a lot lighter. Your file isn't as big. It doesn't have to, you know, it's not slowing you down as much, because although, you know, you really shouldn't, your computer shouldn't be slowing down for a panel of this size. I do quite massive panels, double door panels and stuff like that, and you can have, you know, hundreds upon hundreds of components in there, and you could really slow down if you've got super detailed trunking for no reason. Dale, thank you for the follow, really appreciate that, mate. Okay, so let's delete my little rectangle. Let's open my door. In fact, let's just hide the whole panel. And I'd pick the corner. I'll pick this corner here. I'll give some color to my trunking. Just color always helps you visualize stuff. I'll make it like a dark gray, because the trunking we use like ABB trunking, and it is pretty dark. There we go. T-Bone, thank you for follow. Jose, thank you for follow. Really appreciate that. Simon Potato, thank you for the follow. Share even, thank you for the share, buddy. Really appreciate that. Yeah, so there's my trunking. And then all I'm doing to extend the size of that now is just keep pressing that press pull. And I'm just pulling it to the size I want. I'll line it up with the bottom of the mounting plate. I tend not to actually, but never mind. So then I could just copy that across. I would line it up again. I was pretty close in fairness. You can see that okay, yeah. So I just start building my panel up with the trunking, getting my spaces. I'll need to rotate that one 90 degrees. I should have picked the top point. And I'll line that up with the top of that panel there. Pull that across a little bit. Use point filter. There we go, it lines it up perfectly with the side. I can pull that down now. And I mean, I don't know if any of you guys do any design or anything like that, or build panels yourself, but the general idea is with your trunking, you just box everything off. Box off all your components. You have trunking all around the outsides of it. Everyone who shared the live, thank you very much. Thank you, Katie, for telling them that. Do OEMs have preset files for component 3D models, panels, relays? Yes, they do, mate. Yes. Depending on what software you're using, will depend on what file you need. But I tend to just go for step files. .step or .stp files. You use ePlan. Yeah, we were just talking about ePlan. I've never used it myself, but I hear it's decent. Someone in the comments earlier said that the electrical's good, but the layouts are a little bit not so good. Yeah, let me just quickly put this together so I don't spend ages doing it all. Boring you all to death. Oh, that didn't work, did it? Let's just grab the bottom of this. I want the Z, that's why it didn't work. And I just need to press ball that to length. So it's there. And this one, actually, let's just slice it because it's a little bit too long. So I use the slice command. Say I want to slice that. I'll slice it along that plane. It's now gave me that. There we go. So I've just got a box of trunking. And let's say, I don't really know how big I want my little sections to be yet. That was 60, I believe. And then that can be minus 120 on my press port. Minus 120. There we go. I should have made it long enough. There we go. Okay, so that's my trunking done. Like I said, the trunking's a bit thick for this type of panel. It's only a little panel. Hustronic, yeah, AutoCAD, as Katie said. Next, I want some DIN rail. And in fact, I could rob DIN rail from my other drawing. No, that can I? It's in a bad angle, but we'll take it anyway. So when I say it's in a bad angle, that test rig was obviously at like a 45-degree angle, which means when I copy and paste the DIN rail, it comes in at a 45-degree angle. But I'm thinking I could probably fix that easy enough. I think it was 45 degree. I can't remember. Let's try minus 45 degree. No, it wasn't 45 degrees. So what I can do now is, if I'm struggling with getting the angle right, just find something that's flat. Go in the correct view, left view. 3D rotate. Click that point there. And I think it's reference. I can't see because my camera's there. If I click that, there to there. There we go. So now I can 3D rotate that 90 degrees. And it's on the right. It's on the correct angle and plane and stuff now. RZ, thank you for the follow. Really appreciate that, mate. And if I want to put that on the front plate, with AutoCAD, you're just picking. If anyone has any questions at any point, just ask me, because I feel like I'm going maybe a bit fast. You're covering the pre-made back fixing. We do tend to cover the pre-made back fixing, but the trunking has a lid. You can access it. We'll tend to just cut a hole out the back of the trunking, so it's accessible. We'll put also, like on the enclosure itself, if you're talking about the fixings for the enclosure, we tend to, whenever we do wall mount panels, we supply wall mount kits, which has like it's hard to explain, but it has a little piece of metal. You fit it to that once, and then the actual fixings extend outside the panel. What's this you're making? Not really making anything, to be fair, mate. I was kind of just showing my process of putting 3D models together for control panels, really. I'm not designing anything in particular. Why use AutoCAD? Try Vision or SolidWorks. I'm not sure what Vision is. I've never heard of that one. SolidWorks, we don't use that just because the price is very expensive, and you're only really getting 3D aspect for that price. So we already pay a price for AutoCAD every month or every year, or however it's done. And AutoCAD gives us both. We use AutoCAD Electrical, and with AutoCAD Electrical you get 3D as part of that. So for one price, we're able to do two things that we want to do. There's no reason to change. The DIN rail's a bit long. I mean, is it Union? I think. Can't see the command, unfortunately. I'm thinking it's that one. There we go. Put it into front view, and I can just slice the end off. I tend to just put a line across where the holes are, and then use the center point of that line for my slice. That's how I do it. Does anyone use AutoCAD in here? Does anyone does anyone know what it is that I'm doing and that sort of thing? Chris M, thank you for the follow, mate. Really appreciate that. Hamed, thank you for the follow. What big projects have you done? I've done a fair few. Hospitals, data centers, military sites. I've done some pretty big projects. Is there any way to get free AutoCAD for practice? I think they have. Certainly when I was a student, you could get it for free if you were a student, but you needed like a student email address and stuff like that. Don't think they have like a hobbyist one or anything like that, just for like personal use. I don't believe so. And you know how to use it. Yeah, true. Yeah, exactly. I'm making it. I'm hoping I'm making it look easy, but that's only because I know how to use it. If I was to try and use something like SolidWorks, which I've never used but only seen, I'd struggle. I don't know if any of you guys have ever used Blender, which it's not industrial. It's not like a software that you'd use in the workplace. It's like a 3D modeling software for like. Well, you can make all sorts with it. That is so different to AutoCAD, and I'm like Bambi when I'm trying to use that. I have no idea what I'm doing. All the controls are different. It's, a nightmare. Alright, let's copy that down there. So there's the basis of my control panel. Like I said, I'm not really designing anything in particular here. No real plans for any of this. So if I show you the full enclosure itself, you can see the door. There's nothing on the door at the minute. I can put it into, I was telling you earlier about the different visual styles that you can get. One of them being X-ray, so you can see both the outside of the panel and the inside at the same time. That can be quite helpful sometimes. Are you getting more data centers coming through? I mean, we kind of always have had a lot of data center work with what we do. I wouldn't say we've got any more now than we've always had. We get maybe, I don't know, 3 projects a year. That's a data center job, like quite a big one. Yeah, I wouldn't say we get any more now than we used to. What makes you say that, mate? Are you doing more data center work now or something? Try using RhinoCAD. I've never heard of RhinoCAD. The one that I'm sort of vaguely aware of that is free is FreeCAD, and there's another one called SkyCAD as well, which I see people using. I've never tried them. I've always kind of had AutoCAD, so it's not something I've ever looked into as like an alternative. Have you got component files you can drop on, like, say, a transformer? I probably don't have a transformer, but I have got, I might have a transformer. I'll have a look. I tend not to really need a transformer. I don't use transformers that often. All the stuff that I do is 24 volt DC. It's very rare that I put a controls transformer in a panel. Well, I don't know if it's UK wide or just the line of work that I do, but 24 volt AC or 110 volt AC isn't used that much in a control panel. SkyCAD is cool. Yeah, I've heard decent things about SkyCAD and FreeCAD as well. Like I say, I've never used them, but if you're looking to try and go down like a, what's the word? Trying to upskill yourself. That's the word I'm looking for. You're trying to upskill yourself, learn a bit of design, learn how to put drawings together and that sort of thing. SkyCAD and FreeCAD, I've heard are pretty decent. Right, let me just drop some parts in. What have I got? What should we put in? What have I got? Let's put in... No, I haven't got that. I mean, I've got an absolute ton of parts. It's just kind of deciding what I want to put in there. Let's go for an ABB contactor. These might come in a bit weird. ABB drawings ain't great. They're not step files, they're IGS files. Oh, in fact, that is a step file. That one's coming alright. Yeah. So you can see I've just imported that. That's an ABB contactor. An AF09. That's probably the most used contactor I used. That I use in panels. So when you're moving stuff, I like to find a grip point that makes sense, which is on the DIN rail clip. So that I'm clicking on the DIN rail clip and then I put it on the DIN rail itself and it just snaps on like so. If I want 4 of them, I can use the same trick as I showed you earlier with the array. So I can put that to 1, put that to 1, so I'm left with 1. Maybe I want 5. Set the in between. I mean, you guys can't really see this because TikTok, crops out a load of the image, but I'm using an array here. 40, that's a bit too close. 45 looks pretty good, so let's go for 48. Have a little bit of gap in between. There we are, 5 contactors put in. Nah, I'm an automation engineer currently, but I want to look at building my own little data centers. Nice. Oh, okay, that sounds pretty cool. Be designing data centers all of this year. Oh, nice, David. What sort of work do you do then, David? Yeah, I feel like you said when you first came in the other day that you were like a senior designer or something. It's use ABB components. Yeah, that's an ABB contactor there, mate. We always draw an E-plan with a Pro Panel plugin. Yeah, I've said it about 10 times already on this stream. E-plan's very popular nowadays. It only seems to be getting more and more popular. Apparently it's pretty good. I've not tried it myself. CNC ready drawings. Okay. I mean, I've never got any need for doing any CNC work or anything like that. It's not the sort of thing I do. Tend to need to get brackets and stuff manufactured for in panels. Like if I wanted to maybe, I don't know, chuck something on the base, but I wanted it to be vertical, I'd get a little L-shaped bracket made up or something, like that. Or if I'm putting batteries in the control panel, we tend to have them sat in a tray. So I'll design up the tray. Okay, so let's bring in some more stuff. What else we got? What have I got in here? Let's bring... I feel like most people, if you've joined the live before, you will have seen me talking about these. You will have seen these in videos. Schneider Zelio Smart Relay. So you see that one has no colour. If I'm doing a job, I'll probably explode that and add some colour to it, because when everything's grey, it just doesn't look very good. And it's sometimes quite hard to tell what's what if everything's just grey. So I like to have a bit of colour on my drawing and my model. And then when it comes to the sheet view, so you can see how I'm building this up now, can't you? And, if there's anything that's really deep, you're able to gauge straight away if it's going to intersect on like something on the door or anything like that. That's the benefit of doing it in 3D. You're able to see issues ahead of time before you actually go to manufacture the panel. If it's all 2D, you don't get the side view and you don't see the elevations of stuff. You know, I might have a very deep component on the back plate, but I also might have a very deep meter on the door, and when you close the door it smashes into the whatever's on the back plate. So you're able to see a lot of that ahead of time by doing 3D modeling. The first time you get a pre-machined mounting plate, door or cabinet, you will never want to go back. You're probably right, mate, but I don't build the panels, and the guys on the shop floor, you know, it's kind of all they've ever done. So you are possibly right, though. It probably is worth doing that sort of thing, especially since we model everything out anyway. We know exactly where everything's got to go. So yeah, the door can't close because the vent motor needs to be halfway through the VFD. Exactly. You've played these games, Rob, I can tell. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's add a couple more. Let's just finish this little basic panel off that we're making up on the fly. Let's add some more bits in. What else can we add? Let's add a... have I got any switch disconnectors in here? No, maybe I've got some for ABB. I've got like a huge library of parts that I've downloaded over the years, but not on this computer. This computer is obviously at home. The computer I've got at work has all the latest ones in, and there's a massive library of stuff. Switches. Switch disconnector. 16 amp one. Let's just go for that. KC Jones, thank you for following, mate. Really appreciate that. There's a little ABB switch disconnector. Again, no colour. Not a fan of that. If I was doing this on a job, I would spend the 5 minutes just to put colour on that. Also, I probably should have. I remember this model. This model I remember. I'll tell you why. Let me show you why I remember this model. How straight does that look to you? I'm facing this directly on. Why has ABB got a model on their website which isn't at either 0 degrees or 90 degrees? That's at like, I don't know, 8 degrees or something. It's an absolute ball ache to work with. Now I'm going to have to spend the time putting that right. It's crazy. Well, what version of CAD is this? This is 2024. I've not bothered going to 2026 yet. Most of the updates never really have any tangible difference, and it's more of a hassle to actually change. So this is just AutoCAD 2024. I tell a lie, it's actually AutoCAD electrical, but it's no different. When it comes to the 3D aspect, it's no different to just standard AutoCAD. Okay, so when I put this on, it's going to be wonky, and I'm going to have to mess around. Let's do this. Let's just isolate those two parts. I'm going to have to mess around getting this right now because it... You see what I mean? You see what I'm saying there? The ABB part came in on like an angle. It's weird. Tim Hobbs, welcome in, mate. Hope you're well, buddy. Mikester, hope you're well, mate. Monuia, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Sorry, buddy. Thank you. I really appreciate that. You're welcome, sir. I'm an electrical artisan. Electrical artisan, that's a fancy title, isn't it? Would like to learn more of PLCs. I'm not doing anything on PLCs today, actually, on this live. I feel like the last, well, probably all of my lives that I've started doing, this is maybe my 9th live. I'd say the previous 8 were about PLCs or some form of thing like that. I don't want the lives to go stale and just talk about the same thing over and over. So I've decided to look at AutoCAD today. But if you look at my YouTube, all of my previous lives are on there, and there's plenty about PLCs on YouTube. Does AutoCAD do automatic component wire and coding? It does. It does. Yeah, the electrical side it does. You can automatically label every wire and all that sort of thing. Can't you use parallel constraint? Probably can, mate. I'll be honest, I don't ever use constraints, and it's just one of them things that if you don't use it, you don't really learn how it works, so I never use it. But the way I'll do it is doing it like this, so I will pick a part. In fact, what's the easiest way? Let's pick this point here. I'll pick this point, 3D rotate, and I'll put it on there, and then I will find the right color, which is green in this case. I'll press reference. I think it's reference. Yeah. No, it must not have been. I can't see quite very well because my camera's in the way. Let me just try that again. 3D rotate. Let's pick that point there. I want the green one. I think it's reference. No, I needed to press reference before then. We'll go again. 3D rotate. Click that point. No, it is right. I don't know what's going on there. Hang on. Now I've lost it. There we go. I want to learn VFD from you. When the motor goes the wrong way, I always swap a phase on the VFD input, but that does not solve the problems. I mean, it could be your parameters that you've set up. There might be one to swap the phases internally or something. I'm not sure. I don't know. What VFDs do you use? Why am I having trouble with this? It's not behaving the way I want it to, or what I'd expect it to. It's right on that plane. Mostly Danfoss. Ah, okay. I'll be honest. I've never used a Danfoss. I use VFDs actually very little, and whenever I do use them, it's Mitsubishi. Because I work in power generation, there's very little that you need to use to control a VFD. Very little motors you need to use on a VFD. Just ventilation fans or maybe some pumps or something like that, like fuel pump control. So it's not often that I need to use a VFD. I mean, that looks a bit better. I'm not gonna go crazy with it. I remember spending ages trying to fix it, like on a job. Yeah, so I don't really get involved with the VFD side of things too much. I've got a couple. You've probably seen the videos. I've got two little small Mitsubishi VFDs that I got cheap off eBay. Since the VFD converts DC, it doesn't care about phase rotation on the input. But it would. I'm assuming it would be a parameter for it on the output to get it spinning the other way. I would have thought so, unless you just swap it at the motor. Like I say, I don't work with them all that often. What's the software called? This is AutoCAD, mate. Katie's doing her thing. Pin that comment. Thank you. I've got a Discord going if anyone wants to join that. The idea behind it is to create a little bit of a community. People ask me questions. People ask each other questions. Post, controls related stuff, memes, that sort of thing. Have a chat. I'd really appreciate it if you join the Discord. Yeah. Rob, thank you for the follow, mate. Really appreciate that. Is it free? No, Scotty, it's not free, mate. This is a licensed product. The free alternatives that I'm aware of are SkyCAD and FreeCAD, I believe. Are you designing an electrical panel? I am, but there's I'm not. Well, I kind of am. I'm showing 3D modeling of a control panel, but this isn't like for a job or anything. I'm just totally making this up and just bringing in random parts. We started from nothing. We brought the enclosure in, we put the trunking in, we put the DIN rail on, we put the components on. We haven't, normally if I wasn't like trying to explain this as I went along or answering, comments and stuff like that, it'd probably take me like half an hour to do this. We've probably been doing this over an hour, I'd say now. I'm just going to chuck some more components on. What else have I got? Press Monster, thank you for the follow. Really appreciate that, mate. Manual motor starters. Let's chuck a couple of them on. I don't know why I'm keep picking ABB stuff, but I am. Just because I'm in that folder. It's free depending on your morals, Scott. Good answer. I mean, if there is ways of getting it for free, you do you, brother. You know, if you're not going to use it for commercial purposes and you just want to learn and that sort of thing, I don't see any problem with that. I don't know how you do that, but yeah. Scotty P, thank you for the heart me. Scotty Pep even. Scotty Pep, thank you. There's a manual motor starter. Let's array that. Let's say we want 3 of them. You guys can see that okay? Yeah. I don't know the space in between. Let's go for 40. 40 is too close. Let's go for 48. So it's just chucked in 3 manual motor starters. Maybe what else do we want? Let's bring in a relay. Now, to bring in a relay is a number of parts. You get the relay itself, you get the base. Sometimes there's some clips. I probably have drawings with them already put together. Let me just find those. You can't see none of that, nope. Elga, thank you for the follow, really appreciate that. When will you make KNX panel? I don't do that sort of stuff, Mr. Snaffy. I don't do BMS, so never, unfortunately. Let's do a 500 amp contactor. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we need a bigger panel, but I'll just chuck a couple of relays in. I just need to find them because, like I say, they're in lots of different parts, and whenever I get stuff like that where I use the same over and over, but they're in lots of different parts, I'll just put it together once and save that AutoCAD file, and then I'll just copy and paste from that AutoCAD file. Let's pick. Excuse me. Let's pick one of them relays. This is an Omron 2-pole relay. We'll pull that in. So you will have probably seen these on my videos as well. I have a few of these, which I've borrowed from work. Borrowed. They won't mind. Right, okay. I heard the ping of a Discord sound. I assume someone's joined it. Thank you very much to whoever that is. Okay. Array that. Let's say we want, I don't know, 10 relays. I think the spacing's 18. It's actually a bit smaller than 18. Is it 15? No, it's a bit bigger than that. 16. And let's go one more for a little bit of space. There we go. Okay. I think, you know, that's fine for basically a 3D control panel. Doesn't do anything, but you know, I do. The space on the door, brother. There is space. Okay, let's go for the door. You're right. You're right. I've forgot about the door because it's been hidden so long. So let's isolate the door. That's basically got rid of the back that we've just been looking at, and we can chuck some stuff on the door as well. Let me just find some stuff to chuck on the door. Let's go for some pilot devices. Again, probably ABB stuff just because I'm in that file. Let's go for some lamps. Let's bring... Do I have any compact ones, or are these all going to be ones that I need to put together? No, the ones I need to put together, of course. Okay, so this gives you an example of what I mean by parts that need to be put together first. That obviously isn't going to help as a panel lamp. That's just the front portion of it. I also need the part where you put the actual LED in. That's just the head. So import, and sometimes ABB is pretty good where if you don't touch it when you import it and you import the second piece, it's already fixed together. I'm going to guess we're not that lucky this time round. So there's the LED block itself. No, of course we're not. We're never that lucky, are we? Okay. And I need the block that it sits on. I forget the name of it. I remember the part number though. MCBH. Is it BH? Yeah, I think so. Let's chuck that in. Alright, okay. It all looks a bit of a mess at the minute. Let me just separate them out, get my bearings. Okay. So, that, I believe, is that the wrong way around? I can't remember. Anyway, let's just chuck it all together. Let's sit that down in there. I do believe that's the wrong way around, though. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. I'm just rambling to myself. This is me thinking out loud. You want me to put holes in as well. So I wouldn't normally put the holes in, to be fair. I'm doing this all very rough. Normally I do it a bit neater and actually snap stuff together. Anyway, there's a lamp. And I'd actually have that a little bit further out as well. There we go. So that's what I say when I mean there's like parts that you've got to fit together. So I would know, well, what I have done at work is I've already fit that together perfectly how it should be. And then I'll just copy that job to job to job whenever I need to. I'll just, you know, save that file, copy it job to job. Okay, so 3D rotate. Like I say, normally I have all these buttons set up on my mouse to make it super easy, but I haven't got them all set up, so I'm having to manually type them out. It's like being back in the dark ages. Okay, so let's get the right plane for my lamp first. So I normally go on the edge of the door. Oh. How long did it take to learn design these equipment using AutoCAD? AutoCAD itself doesn't take as long as what you think. Maybe the 3D portion does, but you know, just 2D AutoCAD and putting circuits together, I would say you'd be pretty proficient in a few months. 3D, I would say maybe a good bit more, so you maybe wouldn't be that quick until you've done maybe like a year of it or something. Let me ungroup this. Yeah, it's just time. But if you're doing it every day as part of your work or whatever, or, you know, I did it in my apprenticeship, so I was never actually like the lead guy. I was always helping out the engineer during my apprenticeship. So I learned it pretty quick, and I didn't really, you know, anything I did wrong, I always had someone to like point me in the right direction and stuff like that. Sorry, 3D. Yeah, I'd say 3D takes a little while to get your head round, maybe a few months to get your head into it and work it out. To get actually quick and decently proficient, probably a year, I would say. Yeah. What apprenticeship did I do? I did an apprenticeship in electrical and electronic engineering. It was a 5-year apprenticeship, basically. Yeah, one day at college a week, 4 days at work. I use AutoCAD for residential purposes. Oh, okay. I didn't realise. This is a question I've always had in my head for like domestic stuff, like domestic electricians. I don't know if there's any domestic electricians here in the UK, but like in the UK in this chat now, why do we never see drawings on domestic? Why is that just not a thing? Let's go for diameter 22.5. I'm just going from the corner of the door. Let's put that in the center. So what do you, when you say you do it for residential, do you put together circuits for like what you're wiring and stuff like that? Because I definitely, that's not a thing around, at least around me anyway. Domestic is AutoCAD, commercial and industrial E-Plan. I mean, I don't agree with that myself, Rob, but okay. Let's say 150 down. All I'm doing here with this circle is this is going to be my cutout hole. And I'm just going to lay that out. Let's make 100 between lamps either side. Let's put 3 on. 100. And then maybe another 100 down. 120 down, I would say. We'll have 3 switches or push buttons or something. I did see drawings for residential in Scotland. Okay. I mean, I got a big extension on my house done last year. I didn't get no drawings for any of that work. In fact, that's a lie. I did get a drawing, but it was on a bit of a cardboard box, and it was like the worst drawing I've ever seen in my life. I'm not entirely sure. I'm assuming the apprentice must have done it or something, because the guy had an apprentice with him. But yeah, you tend to get like a schedule for your consumer unit that they put in and stuff like that, and that's about it. How it's wired, how the sockets are wired together, you know, what socket's the middle of the ring or whatever, you know, and what's nearest to the consumer unit. You have no idea. I don't get it. I mean, I don't work in domestic, so it doesn't bother me, but I see a lot of like domestic sparks on YouTube and stuff, and half of the time that they're on site, they're trying to figure out wiring and stuff like that. So if they had a drawing, it would have just, you know, it'd be a lot easier for them. I don't get why it's not a thing. Right, why is this taking forever? What's going on here? So I'm just going to do my cutouts, but for whatever reason, my computer seems to have a little fit there. There we go, that's more like it. So I'm just press pulling, which is what I was saying earlier. So you can press pull is like a function where you can either extrude something from a shape, or if you put that shape on top of something, you can push through that shape. That's the best way I can describe it. So at the minute, I've put a circle on top of my door, and I'm pushing a hole through that circle. So that's a 22.5mm hole. Yeah, there we go. And then once I've got that, I can stick my lamp on there. I'll group it up, and I want the center point of that circle there. We'll see if it's right or not. And then I'll stick it on the center point of my hole. Ta-da! There we go. Right, okay. I've lost it again. There we go. And then if I want to add 3 of them, I've shown you this before, I'll array it. So I want 1. That's the one. I can never remember if it's column or rows that I want. That's something at my big age I should know, but I can never remember. Hole punch. Yeah, that's basically what I'm doing. I'm pushing a hole into the door. CAD architecture. I'm not sure what you mean by that, mate. This is AutoCAD, if that's what you're asking. You can do commercial with AutoCAD too. I mean, you can do industrial with AutoCAD. I do it every day. But not as detailed as commercial industrial. I'm not sure what you lads are talking about there. You know, this is an industrial application that I'm using AutoCAD for. So, yeah. 22.5mm. Is that a face of being sick? What sort of lamps do you use? That's industry standard, at least around here anyway. Yeah, it's always a 22.5. 30mm. Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, I would never ever use a 30mm lamp, or anything really. Where you based, Justin? Is that in the US or something maybe? Is it AutoCAD electrical? Yes, mate. That's what I'm using, Mickey. Yeah, that's right. Okay, let me bring in a switch or a push button or something. Let me try and avoid ABB because everything else seems to be ABB for no real reason. Let's see if I've got some Schneider push buttons or switches. Pilot devices, push buttons. Oh, illuminated. No, let's go for this one, whatever this one is. I'm hoping it's all put together already. Yeah, there we go. Schneider know the deal. Just a black push button. Unless the whole model is black for whatever reason. But anyway. Black push button. Same deal again. Let's array that. I want 3 columns. I want them 100 apart. There we are. So, there we go. End object isolation. So if I put it into X-ray mode now, we can see we've got the buttons on the door. Can you guys see that okay? I think you can. We've got the buttons on the door, and then inside we've got contactors, relays, a smart relay, some motor starters, manual motor starters, and an isolator. And absolutely no fuses or circuit breakers. So don't build this panel, guys. It's not very good. North America, yeah. Okay, maybe that's just the standard over there, 30mm. I'll be honest, I don't know if I've ever seen a panel with a 30mm lamp on it. Maybe an old one, maybe a real old one, possibly. Nothing comes to mind anyway. And then there's EAO with the Series 45 buttons. they need a 30.5mm hole. I'm not sure what they are, Rob, to be fair. I'm not aware of them. What software? This is AutoCAD. Do you do ePlan? I don't, mate. No, I only really use AutoCAD. Thank you, Snarky Man. I really appreciate it. I mean, hopefully, you know, for people who don't do design or don't see this sort of thing, I hope that's helped. And maybe at least understand, you know, if next time you look at some 3D drawings, potentially how it was put together. It was, I mean, like I say, it wasn't the way I'd properly do it. I would, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I would do it that way. I'd just do things a little bit differently. What do you do for work currently? I'm a design engineer, mate. Yeah, I do this sort of thing daily, but I'm also responsible for loads of other stuff. Like once the panel's built, I would do the program for that controller, and once the panel's built and being electrically tested, you know, it's been tested that it's safe and stuff, and the wiring's good, I would then put the program in and do the functional testing. If any clients required seeing the panel being tested, like an FAT, I've got a factory acceptance test, I would tend to do that. I would do any cable schedules for this panel, so any site cabling that needed, you know, went from point A to point B, I would detail that in a like a spreadsheet. If the electrical side of it, I'd draw the circuit up. What else would I do? I'd specify the parts. I'd put the part schedule together. Yeah, I mean, I feel like once I list it out, I do quite a lot. But yeah, did you draw this from scratch the entire live? I mean, when you say yeah, I did, but I obviously, you might miss the part where I was bringing components in. I didn't draw the enclosure. I just imported it. You know, it's a Schneider enclosure. I didn't draw the contactors. They are ABB contactors. You know, you just get them off the website, and I've imported them. So I've put the drawing together. It's more like I've assembled the drawing, because the only actual thing I drew was the trunking, which are just rectangles. But I have done some pretty detailed drawings, because you can't always get parts. Not every manufacturer makes their parts available. It's kind of a newer thing in the last maybe 5-10 years. Anything older than that, you might struggle to find a part, so you have to draw it up yourself. Yeah. What have I missed? Pre-drill 3.5, drill to 11, knockout 22.5, and then knockout 30.5. Yeah, sounds like a going on. So do you work in a panel shop then, Rob, or do you do this stuff on site? Always so much work in stainless with 20 holes. Stainless is a nightmare to drill into, isn't it? Stainless is horrible. It's just a horrible material to work with, but it looks good. I like the look of stainless, and it's obviously very robust as well. If you get the good stuff, you'll never see any issues with it. 316, 316L. That's the one we tend to use. Which is better, ePlan or AutoCAD for documentation and cable labeling? Excuse me. I'm not sure, mate. I've not used ePlan. I only ever used AutoCAD. I hear ePlan's pretty good. The thing I don't like about ePlan, and this might be a hot take here, is I don't like the fact that one control panel will have 200 drawings. 200 A4 drawings. I hate that. And you're like, oh, you start flicking through and you're on page 7, but the wire's going to page 214. So then you flick to 214 and it's actually just going straight through and it's going back to 73. It's a fucking nightmare. I hate it. Lucky to work in a panel shop where we do it all. Program the PLCs, doesn't it? Yeah, it sounds like you do very similar to what I do then, Justin, yeah. So this live show is tutorial for beginners who want to learn CAD. I guess it kind of was, yeah. It'll be on YouTube maybe tomorrow or the day after if you've missed it. You know, missed the majority of it. So go subscribe to my YouTube and you'll see it in a few days. Yeah, I've kind of shown you the basics. It's obviously difficult because you're only seeing a very small portion of the screen because, you know, it's TikTok and it's portrait and I've had to crop it and stuff like that. So you're not seeing a lot of the stuff that I'm doing on the outside. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is with TikTok. Urban Spy Technology, thank you for the follow. Lasagna, thank you for the follow. Hopefully I've not missed any others. Puma Power, thank you for the follow. YouTube link, please. It's in my bio, mate. Go on that link tree link, and it'll be on there, buddy. Which PLC is your go-to when designing panels, or is it dependent on the specs required? Yeah, so if I'm given the choice, it'll always be Mitsubishi for me. Mitsubishi is my favourite brand of PLC. But a lot of the times, especially more recently, we're getting a lot of jobs for Schneider PLCs. I'd say in the last 5 years, I've probably done, I don't know, maybe 100 panels with Schneider PLCs. Yeah, probably. Just get a Click PLC from Automation Direct. Yeah, Click. I've looked into Click. So I'm obviously from the UK, and I like the look of Click. I follow a few guys on TikTok who use Click PLCs. They look great, but trying to get hold of one in the UK is just a no-no. You know, I think there's one supplier. They won't give you a price unless you've got an account and that sort of thing. Yeah, it was a nightmare. So I never got one in the end. But I'd like to use a Click PLC. Just for my own personal benefit. I just like the look of them and stuff. Jonah, thank you for the follow. Really appreciate that, mate. Lefteris, thank you for the follow. Did you do the wiring schematic diagram? I didn't. No, I didn't. It was just the 3D side. This isn't a panel. Or, you know, I've not designed this. It's not something that has any function. I've just brought parts in and was just showing the 3D element of AutoCAD. They'd never let me order a Click. It's got to be Omron or Allen Bradley for some reason. Yeah, Allen Bradley's still a thing over here. I feel like it's in decline. It's definitely quite big in the water industry, I think, still. But it's mostly Siemens around here. Omron, I do know of a machine builder locally to me that use Omron. I've never used one myself. Excuse me. I recommend getting EK 1100 module from Beckhoff, and you can run XAR on your PC. I've never used Beckhoff, but I had one day training with a Beckhoff guy. He came into my previous place of work and showed me the ropes. It seemed okay. I wouldn't choose to ever use one. But it's like anything, you know. All PLCs do the same thing. They all use the same languages. There's, you know, an industrial standard 61131 that details what the languages have to be, or, you know, at least gives the outlines of what they should do. They all do that, but just in their own flavour. Alfu, thank you for the follow, mate. All PLCs are kind of similar, so it doesn't really matter what you use. It's your preference. It's what you're used to. E3, I have used E3 and I hated it so much. My old company, it was kind of like a company of two halves. There was like one half that did industrial battery chargers and another half that did generators. I was on the generator side, so I used AutoCAD. The other side used E3. I used it a couple of times. I didn't like it. Couldn't get on with it. Yeah, not a fan. What are we designing today? It wasn't really a design, mate. I was just chucking components together and showing basically a demo of AutoCAD 3D and what I do and that sort of thing. I've left the screen too long. So the past 3 streams, if I leave the screen inactive for like more than, say, a minute or two, I get my visibility blocked for 10 minutes, and that's just happened because I was sat there talking and not actually. I should have been moving this about. So unfortunately, yeah, I could try and appeal, but yeah, I'm not going to bother. It is what it is. I'm an apprentice and only ever use Schneider Zelio. Yeah, that's a Schneider Zelio there, mate. That's what I chucked in. They're good controllers. I do like them. Logos are great as well as an alternative. Logos are arguably a little bit better because they have an Ethernet port on them, so they're easier to program, and I think they can talk to a HMI as well. So yeah, but I like them. I like them both. 22 Moz, thank you for the follow. Milk, thank you for the follow. Hopefully I've not missed anyone. Can the next live be on wiring schematic? At some point I'll get to that, mate. I will get to that. I'm just trying to mix it up because I've been talking a lot about motor starters, hardwired controls, relays, PLCs. You can only talk about it so much, and especially when, you know, as people come in and out, you end up repeating yourself multiple times in one stream anyway. So to do multiple streams on the same thing, I I think it can get quite boring. So yeah, I tried to switch up a bit today, showing AutoCAD, which is a part of my job, you know, a big part of my job. I use it every day almost. So yeah. What's the best software for home automation plan? Not sure, mate. I don't really do that sort of thing, buddy. What's your go-to PLC writing language? Do you always do ladder, or do you use function block or STL? Yeah. I use all three. I use them to the strengths, because although ladder is my favourite, it's pretty terrible at some things, particularly calculations and math. In that case, I'd use structured text or SCL if it's Siemens. Yeah, you just use them to the strengths. I don't really like using structured text for doing actual logic, you know. I feel like ladder is just better at doing logic than structured text is. So yeah, use them to their strengths, avoid them at their weaknesses. That's the way I try and go about it. Justin, yeah, you've basically answered what I said. Really, it's use all three to their strength, to what they're best for. What's the best? I've said that. Did you see my answer? Mr. A, hi, how are you doing, mate? What your video about? It was just about 3D modelling, designing control panels, that sort of thing. If anyone's just joined now and missed it, it will be on YouTube in a couple of days' time, so please do follow me over there. The link to my YouTube and my Instagram and my Discord is on my link tree, I think it's called, in my bio. You click on my bio, the link will be there. Okay, so yeah, we basically finished that very basic panel. There's not really a lot else to it. I could probably show you the pay-per-view side, but before I do that, I kind of have to check that my company logo isn't on the front. So let me just do that quickly, because I don't really want everyone knowing where I work and that sort of thing. I'm sure everyone in here is a good person, but there are some strange people on the internet, so I'd like to avoid that sort of thing. Okay, so there isn't. Yeah, I can show you it. Let's go back to this. So this is the pay-per-view. We were in the model view where we built the model and that sort of thing. This is the pay-per-view where normally you would have a big border around and stuff like that. I've just quickly deleted it off. Yeah, so obviously models are all well and good, but you can't build a panel from a model. You have to have pages that the guys are, they're going to drill the holes to, they're going to fit the components to, and you're obviously going to need circuits and stuff on paper. Justin P, thank you for the follow, mate. So this, yeah, let's just go quickly. So what I can do is that from the model, I can pull in views of that model. Sorry, from the sheet view, the paper view, I'm getting confused now. From the paper view, I can pull in different views of that control panel. So this is obviously the front view, and I just want to set that to shaded with visible lines. It's currently set to 1 to 10. So for every 1 millimeter you see on this paper, it'll be 10 millimeters in real life. And that's the way you can make a very large control panel fit on a sheet of paper, because there's a ratio to it, there's a scale. So there's the front view, this is the left hand side view. I think you guys can see that okay. And there's the top view, and then you can do a nice little isometric view as well. Have I missed any questions? You're so humble and always want to share knowledge. Thank you, Caleb, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I have no interest in doing courses or anything like that, being a tutor or being a teacher. I'm just a nerd. I enjoy talking about controls. I enjoy talking about electrical engineering. I enjoy talking about PLCs. I'm just a nerd. That's all there is to it. And I'm just surprised at how... it always surprised me. I always thought I'd be doing this to like 5 people, that sort of thing. For the majority of this stream, we've had like over 50 in, Minute we've got 22. It's mad, really. Yeah. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for liking and all that good stuff. Thank you for the gifts, those that have sent them through. Thank you for the follows, those that have followed. Appreciate that, Justin. Thank you, mate. Did you ever do a modification in a live emergency stop circuit? No, I'll be honest, I don't really go out on site, so I tend to stick, I'm a design engineer, so I'm usually behind a desk, and the only time I'm not behind a desk is when I'm in the factory doing the programming and testing, so I don't really go out onto site much. I have worked with emergency stop, I've designed lots of panels with emergency stop circuits in them and emergency stop relays and that sort of thing. I'm not going to say link them out, but link them out, do what you need to do, and then take the links out. Which software are you using? SolidWorks Electrical? No, mate, this is AutoCAD. This is AutoCAD Electrical, actually. Okay, so there's a few views, and obviously they've all got the door on, so it's not very good if you want to do it like an internal GA. So what I can do is I'll move that up. Let's just bin the isometric off for now. We don't need that. And what I can do is something called a section. So let me just zoom in on this so you guys can see that, okay? And what I'm going to do is, you see where my mouse is? I'm going to basically slice from top to bottom that panel. In fact, let me just do it from here. So slice from there to there. I'm going to click enter. And this can go one of two ways. I can slice, so if you see the arrows, I can slice and look that way, into the back of the door, or I can slice and look the other way into the panel. So you just look at where the arrow underneath the A is pointing, and you can see that is now pointing to inside my control panel. And that's basically how you show what's behind a door in AutoCAD. I don't know about other softwares, I don't know how they do it. But as well as that, I like to also show like a slice of the side of the panel, because like I was saying earlier, sometimes you can get caught out and have components that are too high, and you can have stuff on the door that's too deep, and they'll smash into each other in real life. So you like to just do a little drawing to say, there's plenty of space here, nothing's going to hit each other, anything like that. I normally show like the glam plate as well. That would be the base drawing. The glam plate's on the bottom on this. On a wall mount panel, if you want the glam plate to be on the top, you just turn the panel upside down and change the hinge on the door. You can turn the door upside down. Oh, in fact, sometimes you don't even have to do that if you don't care what side it's hinged on. Excuse me. So for the base, I just want a projected view. I think you can see that. Okay, so there's my glam plate. I would always, dimension all of this up, label anything that needs labeling. Even though it's a 3D model, it's always good to still label stuff, because it's not always obvious what something is. So just to get rid of any uncertainty or doubt, I tend to label stuff as well. So I would say should we just do it? Rather than talk about it, I'll just do it. I'll put a label in and say, and I usually reference it to the circuit. So in fact, my L key isn't working, neither is my O key, neither is my comma key, because a drink got spilled on my keyboard, so I need a new keyboard. I was going to call it PLC, let's just call it PC, because my L button isn't working. And I would change the colour of that to like red or something. So I'd label that, and then maybe label them as like, I don't know, K1 to 5 or something. Just label them up like that. That's how I'd do it. As a designer, it is a must to do the programming of the PLC, or just wiring diagram. No, I think to be honest, actually, it's kind of it's unusual for a designer to do the programming as well. So I work in quite a small company, and we all have like more. If you worked in a massive company, you're just like a cog. If you're a design engineer, you're only going to do design. If you work in a small company like I do, you get a few more roles than design. But I like it like that because I would kind of hate to just sit and do AutoCAD every day, 5 days a week, 52 weeks a year. I wouldn't like that. I like to mix it up, and my job allows me to do that, so I'm not always doing the same thing every day. I appreciate everyone who's liking. I can't believe we've got up to 32k likes. I really, really appreciate that, guys. So what sort of job titles have we got in here? What does everyone do? Snarky Man, I obviously know you you work for a hospital, a trust, doing the BMS. I don't know about anyone else. Shout out what your job titles are, guys. And that's about it for my drawings. Technical engineer. Oh, did you not say you were a BMS guy? Or at least you work with the BMS stuff at the hospital? Automation technician, nice. What sort of, you work in like a factory or something? Manufacturing plant, something like that? Pascual? Automation engineer, foam or robotics engineer. Nice, mate. I've never worked with any robotics. It looks mega sick, though. It looks really cool. Yeah, it's not really what I've done. I've always done power generation, so I've never really got into like the heavily automated factories and stuff like that. Yeah, BMS trend. Ah, okay, mate. Yeah. Electrician in greenhouses, controls technician. Ah, okay. What sort of... When you say greenhouses, you mean like the type of places that well, I'm assuming grow plants or food or something like that. So you do the automation behind like the watering and I don't know, the airflow, the ventilation, that sort of thing. That sounds like a cool job, to be fair. Electrical control systems engineer, ABB 800XA. What's the ABB 800XA bit about? Nice sax. You work for ABB, or is that like a particular type of... Yeah, I'm not sure what the that part is. Like growing flowers and tomatoes. Oh, nice. Okay. I've always. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen like the Arduino irrigation stuff, but I've well wanted to do that for a long time. I just think stuff like that's really cool. Like automating your own food or something like that. Like to me, there's like a... I don't know. It sounds cool to me. And yes, automation for the irrigation and climate control. Nice, Jonathan. It sounds like it does sound interesting to me. I like that sort of thing. Is it mandatory to have a professional license to do design in the UK? No, it's not, Caleb. Whereabouts are you from, Caleb? Are you? I'm not even gonna guess, but let me know. Yeah. Is there anything in AutoCAD that I've not shown that anyone wants to see? I guess. Yes, I'd love to try out gardening automation stuff. Hydroponics, yeah, that sort of thing. There's something about it that just, I find cool. I like it. Interests me. Yeah, like I know the Arduino stuff's a bit like it's a bit toyish and stuff like that, but you can do some mad stuff with it. You can do some pretty complicated stuff. One of my college projects, I think I put a video on, I don't know, a few months ago about it. I made like a little conveyor belt. It had a color sensor on it, and I put like little blocks on the conveyor belt, and it went underneath the color sensor, and it then moved along, and depending on the color, it went down a couple of different chutes. And if it was a completely different color, I think I sorted it into RGB, red, green, blue. If it was any other color, it just got shot out the end. That was really interesting. That was like a college project I did. Yeah, I enjoyed that. From Ethiopia, fresh grad. Oh, okay, mate. Working as MEP draft design. Nice, mate. So do you do like when you say MEP? In my mind, that brings up like, is it mechanical, electrical, plumbing? Maybe I don't know what's the P stand for. I'm thinking like pipe work and stuff like that. ESP32 is great for messing around. Yeah, that's what I used, Snacky Man. That's what I used on that project. It was like, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or something now, but I designed a PCB for it, got it manufactured in China, cost me like a $5 for like 10 boards. It was mad. Yeah, it's crazy how cheap some stuff is. Put it all together, built all the frame and everything myself, built the conveyors out of like, I don't know if you've ever used them like insulated standoffs. There was like loads of them like They got like a threaded rod on one end and a threaded hole on the other, and I just like put loads of them together, and yeah, it was interesting. I enjoyed it. Ah, okay, mate. Nice, interesting. I don't really think I've got anything else to show really on AutoCAD, at least not without going mega deep into it again. Like, obviously we didn't do the circuit stuff. I'm so glad I'm in this industry. Yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy the job I do. I enjoy the field I work in. I don't know what I'd do if I wasn't like an electrical engineer. I feel like I fell into the right role, or you know, I don't know. I do think about this, like, what would I do if I was an electrical engineer? And I don't think I'd ever enjoy anything as much. Obviously, yeah, if I was like a football player or something like that, or you know, just mega successful or something, that'd obviously be great. But as like a day-to-day job, I feel like, yeah, I'm pretty happy with what I do. I feel like those guys driving trucks, lorries, then go home after work and play Euro Trucks. yeah, that's exactly what this stream's like. Yeah, and it's Saturday night as well. That's even the worst thing. I don't know. I mean, it might not be night time for you guys, but it's like 10:30 at night here for me. We just sat here, talking shop, talking controls, talking design. Yeah, or like a farmer and going home and playing Farm Simulator. Yeah. But like I say, this is what I've said on a few streams now, is I've got a passion for this sort of thing. I enjoy it, you know, unapologetically. I don't really care. And I feel like if you want to improve yourself, improve what, you know, how good of an engineer you are and stuff, you have to engross yourself in this stuff. You can't just do your 9 to 5 and go home. You need to always be looking at, you know, YouTube, looking at books, looking at, you know, blog posts or whatever, you know, whatever it is, news articles, whatever. You need to engross yourself in it and just keep practicing and that sort of thing. Move the screen. Ah, yeah, good. Katie, you've smashed it there, because I'd completely forgot. How is the job demand? I think it's pretty good at the minute, to be fair, mate. I'll be honest, I think it is pretty good. I'm pretty content at where I am, so I'm not even looking for a job, but I have been offered a couple of jobs in the last couple of months. So it obviously must be good enough that there's people out there wanting to, like, you know, headhunt and that sort of thing. At least in the UK. I don't know what it's like anywhere else. Yeah, that was a good shout, Katie. If I end up freezing up like that and just sit there talking, let me know again. Do I want to show anything else, or is this the end? Let's figure it out. Is there anything up here that's worth showing? Well, I'm guessing a few people weren't in here earlier when I was showing this stuff off. These, if you've watched any of my videos, you will have seen this 100%. This is in loads of my videos. There's a little test rig that I've got in my office, with a Mitsubishi PLC, a Wago or Vago power supply, an on-run. The on-run relay isn't there no more. In fact, neither is the power supply, because I use the benchtop power supply. It's got a few push buttons and a few switches on, and it's on a sheet of plastic which I've bent into that rough shape, drilled holes in, that sort of thing. Going to have to, otherwise restriction must run out now. Surely it's been 10 minutes. I don't know when it was. But it definitely, yeah, it properly affects the stream. It does. Like earlier on, there was a lot of people in, and then as soon as that happens, everyone just drops off. I actually got my current job from a LinkedIn recruiter contacting me, so quite hot market where I am. Where is it you are, Sick Crust? Whereabouts are you? Yeah, I feel like it is. And I feel like electrical engineering, controls, automation, that sort of thing, it's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Norway, okay. See, Norway, am I not mistaken thinking there's a lot of data centers going up in Norway at the minute? So I imagine there's a lot of roles for, like, maintenance guys and, you know, people who can look after the automation side of these data centers and stuff like that. AAA, thank you to follow. Really appreciate that, mate. Okay, so yeah, that's the test rig I've got. I've already built that. That's gonna, excuse me, that's gonna be the test rig for my HMI. At least I'm gonna try it and see how it works out. I feel like it might be a little bit weak, this plastic, especially with a massive cutout in it, but we'll see. I got that to build. Mario Duran, thank you for the follow. Really appreciate that, buddy. Yeah, so at some point I'll put this together. I need to get some so at work we have like loads of offcuts of plastic sheet, so that's kind of the reason I use that. I feel like it looks pretty good as well. Doesn't stay clean very well though. You get a lot, you know, when it gets dusty, it's a nightmare to get clean. Wow, what is that program called? It's AutoCAD, Lucas. Yeah, AutoCAD. Ali, thank you for the follow. Really appreciate it, bud. Is that Maya or Blender? It's neither. It's AutoCAD. This is AutoCAD, mate. Yeah, I think you're right, Kay. Probably many roles for that, yes, but I mostly do factory and process automation. A lot of TwinCAD. Ah, okay, nice. Is TwinCAD quite popular over there? See, I Beckhoff, I don't know if I've seen much. I feel like I haven't seen much of it actually in the field. I don't know how popular it is in the UK. I only really know a lot about TwinCAD because of... Oh, his name escapes me. There's one particular YouTuber. I think he might be a Swedish guy, possibly. I might be wrong on that. And he does a lot of videos on it, and I watch a lot of his stuff. So, yeah. Tinsay, thank you for the follow. Really appreciate that. If I have a 3D model in this, can I add it to a 3D Unity game? No. No, this is for industrial type use. It's not for gaming and that sort of thing. You'd probably want to use Blender for that. What system is this? It's AutoCAD, mate. Oh, Lucas, thank you for saying that, actually. Yes, where I am, it is really popular. I'm very happy with them, both the products and the service. That's good. That's the thing, isn't it? Sitcrossed. If you're happy, you know the PLC well, you can get it easy, there's no reason to change. And that's what I'm like with Mitsubishi. The Mitsubishi isn't the most popular in the UK whatsoever. But it's readily available. It's kind of expensive. It's not the cheapest, but I know it well. I can get it. If I have any requirements for any after service or anything like that, I can get it. Yeah, there's no reason to change. How long have you been? How long have you been in this job? I've been in design for 6 years, and then before that, I was 7 or 8 years as a test engineer, testing generator control panels, mains control panels, battery chargers, industrial battery chargers that is, and UPS systems. Rihak, thank you for the follow, mate. Really appreciate that. What is this, please? This is AutoCAD. This is we're basically 2 hours into the stream now. It's just wrapping up, but I was showing off 3D modeling of control panels. So throughout the stream, we basically put this control panel together, 3D modeled it up, and I was just going through the process of how I tend to do that at work, because this is, you know, part of the job that I do. So yeah, that's basically what we're showing. Had much to do with ProfiSafe on the S7S, on the S7, sorry. I haven't, mate. No, I don't really work with Siemens PLCs, to be honest. I bought one recently. I used them a good while ago, but probably 10 years ago. All of that knowledge has gone completely out of my head. So I bought one recently just for home to try and get my head back into it, but I don't use them at work. Yeah. Is it AutoCAD electrical? It is, yes, mate. It is. This is AutoCAD electrical. Well, this is the 3D side of it, but the actual software I'm using is AutoCAD electrical. Yes. Have you ever used Maya? I haven't, mate. No, I have heard of it, but I'm not entirely... Is that for, like, making game assets and stuff like that? Possibly. I'm not entirely sure. 45 years, Snarky Man. Is that how long you've been in your job? That's a long time, mate. That's really good service. I'm sure, the hospital where you work will miss you dearly when you go next year. I think you said you're going to retire next year, didn't you? What's this for? This is for manufacturing. So what I do is I work for a company who manufacture industrial control panels. I'm the design engineer for that company, or one of them. There's two of us, and as part of designing the industrial control panel, you need to do circuit diagrams. So this software does that. I haven't shown that tonight though. And you need to do general arrangements or layouts, so the guys on the factory floor can build the panel. So I was just showing the 3D model inside, and basically how I put it on a drawing. Although I didn't go very hard. I didn't dimension it up and stuff. The working principle is the same as ePlan. I believe so. I mean, yeah, ePlan is a software for designing control panels. AutoCAD electrical can be as well. So, yes, I've not used ePlan though. I have heard good things about it. A lot of people have asked about it tonight, but yeah. In German, please. No. I don't know any German. I know a little bit of German. I did German for 2 years at school, but I didn't pick it as an option. So, Ich bin logical controls. I think that's about as good as my German's getting. Is this like a model for what it will look like in real life? It is. Yes, that's exactly it. So when you've built the panel, it should look something similar to that. So I take those off, take that off. When you open the door, you should see something like that inside. And when the door's closed, you should see something like that inside. So you don't do the wiring diagram on AutoCAD. I do, yeah, I do. I'm just showing the 3D tonight though. I've not gone into the circuit diagrams. DOS and Windows 3.11 when I started. Wow, mate. Yeah, the earliest Windows I remember was 95. And I was probably like 2 years old when that came out. In fact, I was 2 years old when that came out. Yeah. So you've seen it all then, Snarky Man. You've seen it all. You've gone from very basic stuff to very complicated stuff, I imagine. What is that program? It's AutoCAD, buddy. AutoCAD. AutoCAD electrical in particular. I'm curious, how did you get into this line of work? Through an apprenticeship. I did an apprenticeship at a local manufacturing company. And just kind of worked my way into design. So when I left school, I wanted to be like an electrician. I did 2 years at college full time. Decided I don't want to be an electrician anymore. I want to do something with electrical, but I don't want to go and climb under floorboards or go up into people's attics and stuff like that. So I looked into electrical engineering, and that's where I ended up. Hey, thank you for sharing the live, mate. Really appreciate that. It's that at Eggborough Power Station. It's gone now. Yeah, a lot of power stations are gone. There used to be loads around like the Nottingham area and stuff, didn't there? And they're all gone. West Burton A, that recently went. West Burton B's still there, but probably its days are numbered. Yeah, a lot of the power stations have gone. Do you work with Siemens? I don't, mate. Not really. I have a Siemens PLC, but I don't do any real work with them as part of my job. I tend to use Mitsubishi, so something like that. That's an FX5U Mitsubishi, little compact one. You also get IQR, which I might even have a drawing for. I feel like I made a video on those, so I think I put a drawing together for it. Let me see if I can find it. Just for out of interest. How demanding is this app? Like, could I run it on a laptop? You can run it on a laptop. So I used to use a laptop, but it's a little bit slow. It's noticeable. It's usable, but it's annoying. Whereas on a decent PC, like I've only just got a new PC, so this is like a i9 CPU and a 5070 Ti graphics card, so it's reasonably good. So it's buttery smooth. But on my laptop, there'd be a little bit of jitter there. Why not use E-Plan? We just don't. Historically, we've always used AutoCAD. We've stuck with it. It does what we need it to do. There's no reason to change, to be fair, mate. You're mostly a Siemens guy. Oh, okay, Niels. I think it's Niels, isn't it? Yeah, I'm mostly a Mitsubishi guy. I do use a lot of Schneider nowadays, though. I'm not against Siemens or anything. I like Siemens. Like I say, I've got one. I bought one a few weeks ago, just to try and get my head back into them. I do find TIA Portal a little bit slow, though. That's the only thing. TIA Portal was a little bit, but maybe it's just because I run it in a VM. Maybe that's what it is. What was I going to do? I was checking Mitsubishi drawings. I can't find it. Yeah, don't worry about it. The Mitsubishi also have a rack version, which, you know, plug cards in a rack, like an S7 1500. And expensive, yeah. Do you program PLCs also? I do, mate. Yeah. So I do. My job title was design engineer, but that also incorporates, like, I do the design, and then once the panel's built, or while the panel's being built, I'll do the program, and then once it's built, I'll go over and functional test the control panel as well. I do sort of factory acceptance tests as well, and that sort of thing. I went through it all earlier, so I'll spare everyone who's still in here from earlier the details, because I'm just repeating myself. Wish you good luck in your career. Thank you, mate. I really appreciate that. I hope you have a good career too. Okay, so yeah, I think I might end it there, guys. I feel like that was a pretty decent stream. Basically, for anyone who missed it, we went from scratch and designed a control panel in 3D. I mean, I say designed. There was no real design behind it. I was just chucking parts in, but I was kind of showing the process of how I go around modelling up a control panel. If anyone missed out the live tonight, you can watch it again. It'll be on YouTube tomorrow or the day after the full recording. Yeah, so I'm sure I'll be on again at some point. I don't know when. I try and keep it casual. I don't want to go to like a schedule or anything like that, else I'll fall out of love with it. If it starts becoming tedious and I'm forcing myself to do stuff that I don't want to, I'll end up packing it in. I know I will. So I'll keep it casual. I'll just be on when I'm on. If you can make it, that's great. And if you can't, it'll be on YouTube. So yeah, appreciate the follow, Elliot. Appreciate the follow, Polish boy. Yeah. Okay, so thanks everyone for all the likes. Thank you for all the gifts. Thank you for all the follows. Thank you for all the questions as well. A big part of the streams that I've found is getting questions. Else I'm just kind of rambling on my own. It's nice to have a bit of feedback and a bit of a chat. Yeah, I appreciate that, guys. So see you next time.